This is a report that's come from the SMMT, that's the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders. It's basically the body that represents all the car makers in this country. And we're so used to talking about how well the industry is doing, record sales, record production, and it's been a real success industry. But they've issued a warning today, unsurprisingly related to Brexit. And it's about investment in the car industry in the UK. And they say there's been a big fall off in the value of how much these big firms, particularly the likes of Nissan, Toyota, a lot of the big firms that have been investing here, collectively there's been a fall. They say that, well, in the first 6 months of last year, they were investing £650 million nearly. But it's now moved to 347 million. So a big fall. It's nearly halved as that investment, and that's in the first 6 months of this year. And they say that it's Brexit that is thwarting that investment. All of that, they say they're worried about things like the customs union. This is what the boss of the SMMT told us.
There's undoubtedly frustration in boardrooms. The way the industry works with investments over 4 or 5 years, you will see over the next couple of years, particularly plants will reach that decision point. What we are seeing over the last 6 months or so is that investment has been declining. Now, investment in the automotive industry is always a bit lumpy. It's not consistent. But if you match what is happening in terms of total investment with what we hear, we are seeing companies sitting on their hands for as long as possible. But it reaches the point you have to make that decision. That's when you need the clarity.
Well, it's Mike Hawes there. He's the boss of the SMMT, and it's a really important industry. It employs about 186,000 people. And crucially, 8 in 10 of all the cars that we produce in this country are sold overseas.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
So pretty vital, not only, and this is why the customs union issue is so big for the industry, because they need to be able to sell abroad. But also, we know that cars are made up of thousands of different parts, and they need to come to the UK in what's known as just in time. They get them delivered, they pretty much go straight into the cars, and then they're sold again. They don't want to hold lots of stock. So that's a real worry for them. So the big question, what happens if we leave without a deal? Here's Mike Hawes.
The risks are always that companies enact some of those contingency plans. That can be in terms of supply chain sourcing, it can be in terms of future model allocation. It won't be an overnight closure, but it could be a death by 1,000 cuts. Gradually, the competitiveness of the UK is eroded, making it that much harder to attract the investment, and it's the investment that makes us so competitive.
So what does the government say about all of this?
Well, clearly they've pointed out how successful as an industry it is, employing all those people, generating all of that revenue. They've said it's a success story, and they're working very hard to make trade as friction-free, it's hard to say,
well done,
as possible. So that is the big question. Like so many other industries, I mean, we heard this from Airbus, the plane maker, last week. They want some clarity. What happens next? We need to start planning. We need to get our reserves in order. So that's a big question for the car industry this morning.